Hey guys, tonight we embark on a journey through time, tracing the fascinating history of the forgotten spices that once ruled the world. Imagine yourself walking through a vibrant, bustling market in ancient times. The air is rich with the aroma of exotic spices, pepper, cloves, all mingling together in a heady mix that feels almost magical. Traders shout out their wares, camels, laden with goods, trudge through the narrow streets, and you can feel the heat of the sun on your back as you navigate this chaotic, colorful scene. But here's the twist: you probably wouldn't survive this market. Spices were so valuable back then that wars were fought over them. Fortunes were made and lost, and entire empires rose and fell in their pursuit. These tiny, fragrant treasures were worth more than gold, and their allure drove humanity to the farthest corners of the earth. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The story of the spice trade begins thousands of years ago, long before the modern conveniences of grocery stores and prepackaged seasonings. Back then, spices were not just a luxury, they were a necessity. They preserved food, masked unpleasant odors, and were believed to have powerful medicinal properties. The origins of the spice trade can be traced to ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt, and India, where spices were first cultivated and used. You can imagine yourself in ancient Mesopotamia, where merchants exchanged black pepper for gold, or picture the grand temples of ancient Egypt, where priests burned frankincense and myrrh as offerings to the gods. Spices were more than just commodities. They were symbols of status and power. One of the earliest recorded mentions of the spice trade comes from the Ebers Papyrus, an ancient Egyptian medical text dating back to around 1550 BC. This document lists over 800 remedies, many of which include spices like cinnamon and coriander. It's fascinating to think that even thousands of years ago, people understood the value of these aromatic plants. But the spice trade wasn't just about local exchanges. It quickly grew into a global enterprise, connecting distant lands and cultures. Early trade routes, like the Silk Road and the incense route, became lifelines for the spice trade, allowing merchants to transport their precious cargo across vast distances. These routes were fraught with danger, bandits, treacherous terrain, and harsh weather conditions, but the rewards were worth the risk. Historians still argue whether the first long-distance spice trade began in the Arabian Peninsula or the Indian subcontinent. What we do know is that by the time of the Roman Empire, spices were flowing into Europe in unprecedented quantities. Roman elites couldn't get enough of black pepper, which they used to season their food and even as a form of currency. And then there's the quirky tidbit about the Roman Emperor Nero. Legend has it that when his wife Poppaea died, Nero burned an entire year a supply of cinnamon at her funeral, as a display of his wealth and grief. Can you imagine the smell? The air must have been thick with the sweet, woody aroma of cinnamon, a scent so powerful it could linger in your memory for years. As the demand for spices grew, so did the lengths people would go to obtain them. Traders ventured farther and farther from home, navigating uncharted waters and forging new paths through hostile territories. And with each new discovery, the world became a little smaller, a little more connected. So, as you settle in for the night, remember that the story of the spice trade is not just a tale of commerce, it's a story of adventure, ambition, and the enduring human spirit. And this is just the beginning. Black pepper. It is such a common sight on dining tables today that you probably don't even think about it. But there was a time when black pepper wasn't tea just a seasoning, it was a symbol of power, wealth, and status. Tonight, as you imagine those tiny, wrinkled black pearls, think about this. There was a time when black pepper was worth its weight in gold. You find yourself walking through the crowded streets of ancient Rome. The air is alive with the sounds of merchants haggling, the clatter of carts, and the chatter of citizens. You catch the sharp, earthy scent of black pepper wafting from a stall. A wealthy Roman matron stops to inspect the spice, her servant carrying a heavy pouch of coins. Black pepper isn't just a luxury for the elite, it's a necessity. It flavors their food, preserves their meat, and even acts as a form of currency. The Romans were obsessed with black pepper. They imported it in massive quantities from India through complex trade networks that stretched across land and sea. These networks were controlled by powerful empires and ambitious traders, each vying for a bigger slice of the lucrative spice trade. The journey was long and perilous, with pepper traveling thousands of miles from the Malabar coast of India to the bustling markets of Rome. But why was black pepper so valuable? Part of it was its versatility. It could be used to flavor everything from roasted meats to wine. It also had medicinal properties, or at least, that's what people believed. Roman physicians prescribed black pepper to treat everything from indigestion to snake bites. Whether it worked or not is up for debate, but the belief in its healing powers only added to its allure. And then there's the sheer mystique of it. For centuries, Europeans had no idea where black pepper came from. Some thought it grew in the land of the mythical phoenix, harvested by brave adventurers who risked their lives to bring it back. Others believed it was guarded by venomous snakes, adding an extra layer of danger and drama to its story. Historians still argue whether the Roman obsession with black pepper was purely practical, or if it was driven by a desire to flaunt their wealth. After all, what better way to show off your status than by seasoning your food with something that had traveled halfway across the world? One of the quirkiest stories about black pepper comes from the fall of Rome. When the Visigoths sacked the city in 410 CE, they demanded a ransom to spare its citizens. Among the treasures they took was 3,000 pounds of black pepper. Imagine that Dan invading army valuing pepper as highly as gold and jewels. It's a testament to just how important this little spice was in the ancient world. As the Roman Empire declined, so did the European spice trade. But black pepper's story was far from over. It would rise again during the Middle Ages, becoming a cornerstone of the global spice trade. By then, it wasn't just a luxury, it was a necessity. Medieval Europeans used it to flavor their heavily salted meats and to mask the smell of food that was, well, less than fresh. And let's not forget the role of black pepper in shaping European exploration. In the 15th century, the Portuguese set out to find a sea route to India, driven in part by their insatiable appetite for pepper. This quest led to the Age of Exploration, a period of unprecedented global expansion that changed the world forever. But we'll get to that later. For now, let's linger a little longer in the ancient world, where black pepper reigned supreme. As you drift off to sleep, imagine the bustling markets of Rome, the exotic allure of the Malabar coast, and the incredible journey of a spice that once ruled the world. Cinnamon, just the word conjures up a warm, sweet aroma that feels like a hug for your senses. Today, it's sprinkled on everything from lattes to pastries. But in ancient times, cinnamon was a treasure so rare and mysterious that it was treated almost like a gift from the gods. Imagine yourself in a world where the origins of cinnamon were shrouded in myth, its trade controlled by secrecy, and its value rivaled that of gold. You're standing in an ancient marketplace, perhaps in Thebes or Babylon. The air is thick with a scent of spicy, sharp, sweet, and intoxicating. Traders whisper tales of cinnamon's origins, each story more fantastical than the last. Some say it comes from the nests of giant birds who collect the cinnamon sticks to build their homes high in the mountains. Others claim it grows in a land so remote and dangerous that only the bravest adventurers can retrieve it. In reality, cinnamon came from the bark of trees native to Sri Lanka in southern India. The process of harvesting it was labor-intensive and time. Workers would strip the bark from the trees, then carefully roll it into the familiar quills we recognize today. This painstaking process added to its value, making cinnamon a luxury reserved for the wealthy and powerful. The Egyptians were among the first to fall under cinnamon's spell. They used it in embalming rituals, believing its fragrant aroma could help guide the souls of the dead to the afterlife. Picture the grand tombs of ancient Egypt, filled with treasures and spices, the air heavy with the scent of cinnamon as priests performed their sacred rites. It wasn't just a spice, it was a bridge between the mortal and divine. By the time cinnamon reached ancient Greece and Rome, it had become a symbol of status and sophistication. Roman elites used it to flavor their wines and perfumes, while Greek physicians extolled its medicinal virtues. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, recommended cinnamon for treating coughs and colds. Whether it actually worked is another matter, but the belief in its healing properties only added to its mystique. And then there's the story of Emperor Nero. Remember how he burned an entire year's supply of cinnamon at his wife's funeral? That act wasn't just a display of grief, it was a statement. Nero was telling the world, I am so powerful, so wealthy, that I can afford to burn a treasure most people will never even see in their lifetime. Historians still argue whether Nero's gesture was genuine, or just another example of his infamous excess. Either way, it cemented cinnamon's place in the annals of history as a spice worth fighting for. The trade routes that brought cinnamon to the Mediterranean were long and treacherous. Arab traders controlled much of the spice trade, keeping the true origins of cinnamon a closely guarded secret. They spun elaborate tales to protect their monopoly, ensuring that European buyers remained in awe of this mysterious spice. One of the quirkiest tidbits about cinnamon comes from Pliny the Elder, a Roman author and naturalist. He wrote that cinnamon was so rare and valuable that it could only be harvested by bribing snakes with pieces of meat. It sounds absurd now, but in a world without Google, who could argue, as the centuries passed, the demand for cinnamon only grew. By the Middle Ages, it had become a staple in European kitchens, used to flavor everything from stews to desserts. But it wasn't just about taste. Cinnamon was also believed to have powerful medicinal properties. Medieval doctors prescribed it for everything from indigestion to the plague. And then came the age of exploration. The Portuguese were among the first Europeans to reach Sri Lanka, where they discovered the true source of cinnamon. Their arrival marked the beginning of a new era in the spice trade, one that would see cinnamon become a global commodity. But that's a story for another night. For now, let's linger in the ancient world, where cinnamon was a treasure wrapped in mystery. It sent a reminder of distant lands and untold riches. As you drift off to sleep, imagine the myths, the markets, and the magic of a spice that once ruled the world. Cloves. Their warm, spicy aroma is instantly recognizable, often evoking memories of holiday baking or mulled wine. But centuries ago, cloves weren't just a kitchen staple, they were a symbol of power, luxury, and even diplomacy. Tonight, let's dive into the story of this fragrant little spice that once sparked revolutions, shaped empires, and changed the course of history. Picture yourself in the ancient Spice Islands, now known as the Maluku Islands in Indonesia. The air is thick with the heady scent of cloves, their trees dotting the lush, tropical landscape. For centuries, these islands were the only place on Earth where cloves grew, making them one of the rarest and most valuable commodities in the ancient world. Cloves were already being traded as early as 200 BC, with Arab merchants bringing them to the markets of the Middle East and beyond. These traders kept the source of cloves a closely guarded secret, spinning tales of dangerous seas and mythical creatures to deter others from seeking out the Spice Islands. In ancient China, cloves were so highly prized that they were reserved for the emperor and his court. Legend has it that courtiers were required to chew cloves before speaking to the emperor to freshen their breath. Imagine the scene. A grand imperial court, the air filled with the scent of cloves as officials bow before the throne. Cloves also played a significant role in ancient medicine. In India, they were used in Ayurvedic treatments for digestive issues and toothaches. In China, they were believed to have warming properties, making them a popular remedy for colds and other ailments. Even in ancient Rome, cloves were considered a cure-all, prescribed for everything from bad breath to infections. By the Middle Ages, cloves had become a cornerstone of the European spice trade. They were used to flavor food, mask the taste of spoiled meat, and as a key ingredient in medieval medicines, but their value went far beyond their practical uses. Cloves were a status symbol, a way for the wealthy to flaunt their riches and sophistication. One of the most fascinating stories about cloves comes from the courts of medieval Europe. During feasts, the wealthiest nobles would display their spices in elaborate containers called spice towers. These ornate vessels, often made of gold or silver, were passed around the table so guests could admire and, perhaps, envy the host's collection of exotic spices. But the story of cloves takes a darker turn in the age of exploration. By the 16th century, European powers like Portugal, Spain, and the Netherlands were vying for control of the Spice Islands. The Portuguese were the first to establish a foothold, but their dominance was short. The Dutch East India Company soon took over, using brutal tactics to maintain their monopoly on the clove trade. One of the most infamous episodes in the history of cloves is the Amboina massacre of 1623. The Dutch, fearing competition from the English, accused a group of English traders of conspiracy and executed them in a gruesome display of power. This event marked a turning point in the spice trade, highlighting the lengths to which empires would go to control these precious commodities. The Dutch went so far as to destroy clove trees outside their control to maintain their monopoly. This policy, known as extirpation, devastated local communities who had relied on the trade for centuries. It's a stark reminder of the darker side of the spice trade, where the pursuit of profit often came at a great human cost. Despite these challenges, cloves continued to captivate the world. By the 18th century, their cultivation had spread to other parts of the world, breaking the Dutch monopoly and making cloves more accessible to the global market. Today, they remain a beloved spice. Their warm, aromatic flavor, a testament to their rich and complex history. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the Spice Islands, their forests filled with the scent of cloves. Picture the bustling markets of ancient China, the grand feasts of medieval Europe, and the treacherous journeys of traders who risked everything for a handful of these precious buds. The story of cloves is a story of ambition, adventure, and the enduring allure of the spice trade. Nutmeg, this small, unassuming seed, has a history as rich and complex as its flavor. Today, it's used to add warmth and depth to both sweet and savory dishes. But in centuries past, nutmeg was a spice so coveted that it became the centerpiece of global intrigue, colonial ambition, and even warfare. Tonight, let's explore the incredible journey of nutmeg, a spice that once drove the world to madness. Imagine yourself in the Banda Islands, a tiny cluster of volcanic islands in the Indonesian archipelago. These islands were the world's sole source of nutmeg, making them one of the most sought-after destinations for traders and explorers. The air is fragrant with the scent of nutmeg trees, their branches heavy with fruit. For the people of the Banda Islands, nutmeg wasn't just a spice, it was their livelihood, their legacy, and their link to the wider world. Nutmeg's journey to the West began with Arab traders, who brought it to the markets of the Middle East and beyond. From there, it traveled to Europe, where it quickly became a symbol of wealth and luxury. By the Middle Ages, nutmeg was being used to flavor everything from pies to puddings, its distinctive aroma adding a touch of the exotic to European cuisine. But nutmeg's appeal wasn't just culinary. It was also believed to have powerful medicinal properties. Medieval doctors prescribed nutmeg for a variety of ailments, from digestive issues to the plague. In a world with limited medical knowledge, the promise of a cure-all spice was irresistible. One of the quirkiest stories about nutmeg comes from the 17th century, when it was rumored to be an effective deterrent against the plague. People would carry nutmeg in their pockets or wear it around their necks, hoping its scent would ward off disease. Whether it worked or not is debatable, but the belief in its protective powers only added to its allure. The demand for nutmeg was so great that European powers were willing to go to extraordinary lengths to control its trade. The Portuguese were the first to establish a presence in the Banda Islands, but their dominance was soon challenged by the Dutch. The Dutch East India Company, determined to monopolize the nutmeg trade, launched a series of brutal campaigns to seize control of the islands. One of the most infamous episodes in the history of nutmeg is the massacre of the Bandanese people in 1621. The Dutch, seeking to eliminate any competition, launched a violent assault on the islands, killing thousands and enslaving the survivors. This brutal act secured the Dutch monopoly on nutmeg for nearly 2 centuries, allowing them to dictate prices and reap enormous profits. The Dutch went to great lengths to maintain their control, even going so far as to plant nutmeg trees on other islands to deter competitors. This policy of spice espionage was a testament to the lengths to which empires would go to protect their interests. But the Dutch monopoly was eventually broken. In the late 18th century, the British captured the Banda Islands during the Napoleonic Wars, taking nutmeg seedlings and planting them in their own colonies. This act of botanical piracy helped spread nutmeg cultivation to other parts of the world, ending the Dutch stranglehold on a spice trade. Today, nutmeg is grown in various tropical regions, its once exclusive status a distant memory, but its history remains a fascinating tale of ambition, adventure, and the enduring allure of a spice that once ruled the world. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the Banda Islands, their lush forests filled with the scent of nutmeg. Picture the bustling markets of medieval Europe, the grand feasts of the elite, and the treacherous voyages of traders who risked everything for a taste of this precious spice. The story of nutmeg is a story of exploration, exploitation, and the incredible journey of a spice that changed the world. Saffron, known as the red gold of the spice world. Saffron is the most expensive spice on earth. Its delicate threads, hand-harvested from the flowers of the crocus plant, have captivated humanity for thousands of years. Tonight, let's uncover the story of this luxurious spice, a tale of beauty, labor, and a value that transcends time. Imagine yourself in a vast field of purple crocus flowers, their vibrant petals glowing under the morning sun. Each flower holds 3 tiny red stigmas, the precious saffron threads. Workers carefully pluck the stigmas by hand, a painstaking process that requires thousands of flowers to produce just a single ounce of saffron. It's no wonder saffron is worth more than its weight in gold. Saffron's origins are as mysterious as its flavor. Historians believe it was first cultivated in ancient Persia, where it was used as a dye, a perfume, and a medicine. The Persians also wove saffron into their poetry and art, celebrating its beauty and fragrance. Imagine the opulent courts of ancient Persia, where saffron perfumed the air and colored the robes of kings. From Persia, saffron spread to other parts of the ancient world. In Egypt, it was used in cosmetics and embalming rituals. Cleopatra herself is said to have bathed in saffron-infused water, believing it enhanced her beauty and allure. In Greece, saffron was associated with the gods, its golden hue symbolizing divinity and power. The Romans, too, were enamored with saffron. They used it to flavor their food, dye their clothing, and even freshen their homes. Wealthy Romans scattered saffron on their floors during banquets, its fragrance filling the air as guests arrived. It was a display of extravagance, a way to show off their wealth and sophistication. Saffron also played a significant role in ancient medicine. Physicians from Greece to India prescribed it for a variety of ailments, from depression to digestive issues. In traditional Persian medicine, saffron was believed to have mood-enhancing properties, earning it a reputation as a sunshine spice. But saffron wasn't just a luxury, it was also a symbol of status and power. In medieval Europe, it was used to dye the robes of royalty and clergy, its golden color signifying wealth and divinity. The demand for saffron was so great that it sparked wars, thefts, and even counterfeiting. Unscrupulous traders would mix saffron with other substances to increase their profits, leading to strict regulations and harsh penalties for fraud. One of the most fascinating episodes in saffron's history is the Saffron War of the 14th century. This conflict, fought in what is now Switzerland, was sparked by the theft of a shipment of saffron. The spice was so valuable that entire armies were mobilized to recover it. Imagine a battlefield where the prize wasn't land or treasure, but a few pounds of golden threads. As the centuries passed, saffron continued to captivate the world. By the Renaissance, it had become a staple in European kitchens, used to flavor everything from risottos to pastries. It was also a key ingredient in traditional medicines, its reputation as a cure enduring through the ages. Today, saffron is cultivated in various parts of the world, from Iran to Spain to India, but its allure remains unchanged. Each thread is a testament to the labor and love that goes into its production, a reminder of its storied past and timeless appeal. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the fields of purple crocus flowers, their delicate threads glowing in the sunlight. Picture the bustling markets of ancient Persia, the grand feasts of Rome, and the opulent courts of medieval Europe. The story of saffron is a story of beauty, passion, and the enduring power of a spice that has captivated humanity for millennia. Pepper, often called the king of spices, pepper is so common today that it's easy to forget it was once worth its weight in gold. But this humble spice, derived from the dried berries of the Piper nigrum plant, has a history as fiery and complex as its flavor. Tonight, let's journey through the story of pepper spice that shaped trade routes, fueled empires, and changed the course of history. Imagine yourself in the lush forests of India's Malabar coast, where pepper vines climb high into the trees. The air is humid, and the scent of ripe pepper berries fills the air. For centuries, this region was the heart of the global pepper trade, its black gold coveted by civilizations across the ancient world. Pepper's journey began in India, where it was used in cooking, medicine, and religious rituals as far back as 2000 BC. Ayurvedic texts describe pepper as a powerful remedy for colds, digestive issues, and even snake bites. Its sharp, pungent flavor made it a prized ingredient in Indian cuisine, while its medicinal properties earned it a place in traditional healing practices. As trade routes expanded, pepper began to make its way to other parts of the world. By the time of the Roman Empire, it had become a staple in European kitchens. Wealthy Romans used pepper to season their food, preserve their meats, and even as a form of currency. Pliny the Elder, the Roman naturalist, famously complained about Rome's insatiable appetite for pepper, calling it a useless luxury, and lamenting the vast sums of gold spent on its import. One of the most fascinating episodes in pepper's history is its role in the fall of the Roman Empire. When Rome was sacked by the Visigoths in 410 CE, one of the demands made by their leader was 3,000 pounds of pepper as part of the ransom. This detail underscores just how valuable pepper was in the ancient world, enough to be considered a treasure worthy of a king. By the Middle Ages, pepper had become even more valuable. It was often referred to as black gold, and its trade was controlled by Arab merchants who kept the source of pepper a closely guarded secret. European buyers, eager to secure a steady supply, were willing to pay exorbitant prices, making pepper one of the most lucrative commodities of the medieval spice trade. Pepper's value also made it a status symbol. In medieval Europe, it was common for wealthy families to display their pepper grinders and spice containers as a way of flaunting their wealth. At banquets, pepper was used liberally, its sharp, spicy flavor a testament to the host's affluence and sophistication. The age of exploration was driven, in large part, by the quest for pepper. European powers like Portugal and Spain were desperate to bypass the Arab middlemen and establish direct trade routes to India. When Vasco da Gama reached the Malabar coast in 1498, it marked the beginning of a new era in the spice trade. The Portuguese quickly established a monopoly on the pepper trade, using their naval power to dominate the Indian Ocean. But their dominance was short. The Dutch and the English soon entered the fray, each vying for control of the lucrative spice trade. The competition was fierce, and the stakes were high. Entire fleets were built, battles were fought, and fortunes were made and lost, all for the sake of pepper. One of the most dramatic episodes in this struggle was the siege of Cochin in 1504. The Portuguese, determined to secure their hold on the pepper trade, defended the city against a massive army of local rulers. The victory cemented Portugal's dominance in the region and ensured a steady supply of pepper to Europe. Today, pepper is one of the most widely used spices in the world. Its once exclusive status has faded, but its history remains a testament to its enduring appeal. Each grind of the pepper mill is a reminder of the spice's incredible journey from the forests of India to the tables of kings and emperors. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the bustling spice markets of ancient Rome, the grand banquets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who risked everything for a taste of black gold. The story of pepper is a story of ambition, adventure, and the enduring allure of a spice that once ruled the world. Vanilla, known as the queen of spices, vanilla's sweet, floral aroma is beloved worldwide, flavoring everything from ice creams to perfumes. But behind its familiar scent lies a story of mystery, innovation, and resilience, a tale as rich and complex as vanilla itself. Tonight, let's explore the journey of vanilla, a spice that has enchanted humanity for centuries. Imagine yourself in the dense, humid rainforests of Mexico, where the vanilla orchid, Vanilla planifolia, grows wild. The plant's delicate green vines climb high into the trees, its pale yellow flowers blooming only for a single day. For centuries, the Totonac people of Mexico were the only ones who knew the secrets of cultivating and curing vanilla, making it one of the world's rarest and most sought after. Vanilla's journey began in pre-Columbian Mesoamerica, where it was used by the Aztecs to flavor their chocolate drinks. The Aztec Emperor Montezuma is said to have served a vanilla-infused beverage called zocolotol to the Spanish conquistador, introducing him to the spice's intoxicating aroma. Imagine the opulence of the Aztec court, where vanilla perfumed the air and delighted the senses. When courtiers returned to Spain, he brought vanilla with him, introducing it to Europe. The spice quickly captivated the continent, its exotic flavor and fragrance becoming a symbol of luxury and sophistication. European chefs began experimenting with vanilla, using it to flavor everything from pastries to perfumes. But vanilla's cultivation remained a mystery to Europeans for centuries. The vanilla orchid's flowers are pollinated by a specific species of bee native to Mexico, and without this natural pollinator, attempts to grow vanilla outside its native habitat were unsuccessful. This made vanilla one of the most expensive spices in the world, its price rivaling that of gold. The breakthrough came in the 19th century, thanks to a young slave named Edmund Albius on the island of. In 1841, Albius discovered a method of hand-pollinating vanilla orchids, a technique that revolutionized the vanilla industry and allowed the spice to be cultivated in tropical regions around the world. This innovation transformed vanilla from a rare luxury to a global commodity, making it more accessible to people everywhere. Despite this breakthrough, vanilla cultivation remains limited. Each flower must be pollinated by hand, and the pods, once harvested, undergo a lengthy curing process to develop their characteristic flavor and aroma. It's a testament to the dedication and skill of vanilla farmers who work tirelessly to bring this beloved spice to market. One of the most intriguing aspects of vanilla's history is its role in the world of perfumery. In the 19th century, chemists isolated vanillin, the compound responsible for vanilla's distinctive scent. This discovery paved the way for synthetic vanillin, which is now used in everything from fragrances to flavorings. But for purists, there's no substitute for the rich, complex aroma of natural vanilla. Today, vanilla is grown in various parts of the world, from Madagascar to Tahiti to Indonesia. Each region produces vanilla with its own unique flavor profile, reflecting the terroir and techniques of local farmers. Despite the challenges of cultivation, vanilla remains one of the most beloved and versatile spices. Its sweet, floral aroma, a testament to its enduring appeal. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush rainforests of Mexico, the bustling markets of colonial Europe, and the fragrant fields of vanilla orchids. Picture the dedication of farmers who hand-pollinate each flower, the innovation of Edmond Albia, and the timeless allure of a spice that has captured the hearts and palates of people around the world. The story of vanilla is a story of mystery, innovation, and the enduring power of a spice that continues to enchant us. Cinnamon, warm, sweet, and aromatic, cinnamon is a spice that has been cherished for thousands of years. Its distinctive flavor has graced everything from ancient rituals to modern desserts, and its history is a tale of mystery, conquest, and enduring appeal. Tonight, let's uncover the story of cinnamon, a spice that once ignited the imaginations of explorers and empires. Picture yourself in the dense, tropical forests of Sri Lanka, where cinnamon trees grow wild. The spice comes from the inner bark of these trees, carefully harvested by skilled workers who peel, roll, and dry the bark into the familiar quills we know today. The process is delicate and labor-intensive, a testament to the craftsmanship behind this ancient spice. Cinnamon's history stretches back to antiquity. It was mentioned in ancient Egyptian texts as far back as 2000 BC. Prized for its use in embalming rituals and as a perfume, the Egyptians believed cinnamon had sacred properties, and it was often reserved for the wealthiest and most powerful members of society. Imagine the tombs of the pharaohs filled with the scent of cinnamon, a symbol of luxury and divinity. In ancient Greece and Rome, cinnamon was equally revered. It was used to flavor wine, perfume the air, and even as an offering to the gods. The Roman Emperor Nero is said to have burned an entire year's supply of cinnamon at the funeral of his wife, Poppaea, as a gesture of extravagant mourning. This act underscores just how valuable cinnamon was in the ancient world, an offering fit for an emperor. The spice's origins were shrouded in mystery for centuries. Traders from Arabia controlled the cinnamon trade, weaving elaborate talis to protect their monopoly. They claimed that cinnamon was harvested from the nests of giant birds, or that it grew in remote, dangerous lands guarded by serpents. These stories added to cinnamon's allure, making it one of the most sought-after commodities of the ancient world. By the Middle Ages, cinnamon had become a symbol of wealth and status in Europe. It was used to flavor meats, preserve foods, and add a touch of luxury to desserts. The demand for cinnamon was so great that it fueled the age of exploration, as European powers sought to bypass Arab middlemen and establish direct trade routes to the spice's source. When the Portuguese arrived in Sri Lanka in the 16th century, they quickly realized the island's importance as the world's primary source of cinnamon. They established a brutal monopoly, forcing local communities to harvest the spice under harsh conditions, but their control was short. The Dutch ousted the Portuguese in the 17th century, seizing control of the cinnamon trade and continuing the cycle of exploitation. The Dutch went to extraordinary lengths to maintain their monopoly, even destroying cinnamon trees in other regions to ensure that Sri Lanka remained the sole source of the spice. This ruthless strategy allowed them to dominate the cinnamon trade for more than a century, reaping enormous profits. Eventually, the British took control of Sri Lanka in the 19th century, ending the Dutch monopoly. By this time, cinnamon cultivation had spread to other parts of the world, making the spice more accessible and affordable. Today, Sri Lanka remains one of the largest producers of cinnamon. It's true, cinnamon prized for its delicate flavor and aroma. Cinnamon's story is also one of science and innovation. In the 19th century, chemists isolated the compound responsible for cinnamon's distinctive flavor and aroma. This discovery paved the way for synthetic cinnamon, which is now used in everything from candies to cosmetics. But for those who love the spice, there's no substitute for the warmth and complexity of natural cinnamon. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the fragrant forests of Sri Lanka, the bustling spice markets of ancient Rome, and the daring voyages of explorers who risked everything for a taste of this precious spice. Picture the hands of skilled workers peeling cinnamon bark, the opulent banquets of medieval Europe, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history for millennia. The story of cinnamon is a story of mystery, conquest, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to warm our hearts and homes. Cloves, with their intense aroma and warm, slightly sweet flavor. Cloves are among the most distinctive and powerful spices in the world. These tiny, dried flower buds have a history that is as bold and complex as their taste, a history filled with intrigue, trade wars, and cultural significance. Tonight, let's explore the remarkable journey of cloves, a spice that once ruled the world's imagination. Imagine yourself on the remote Maluku Islands of Indonesia, also known as the Spice Islands. For centuries, these islands were the only place on Earth where clove trees grew. The air here is thick with the scent of cloves, their tiny buds harvested by hand and dried in the sun until they turn a deep, rich brown. Cloves have been used for thousands of years, with records of their use dating back to ancient China. During the Han Dynasty, as early as 200 BC, courtiers were required to chew cloves to freshen their breath before addressing the emperor. This practice highlights the spice's early reputation as a symbol of refinement and luxury. In ancient India, cloves were celebrated for their medicinal properties. Ayurvedic texts described them as a remedy for toothaches, digestive issues, and respiratory ailments. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, cloves were used to flavor food and as an ingredient in perfumes and incense, their rich aroma adding an air of opulence to religious rituals and daily life. Cloves eventually made their way to Europe, where they became one of the most coveted spices of the medieval era. Along with nutmeg and mace, cloves were highly prized for their ability to preserve food and add flavor to otherwise bland dishes. Their rarity and value made them a status symbol, reserved for the wealthy elite. The demand for cloves was so great that it sparked fierce competition among European powers during the Age of Exploration. The Portuguese were the first to establish control over the clove trade, seizing the Spice Islands in the early 16th century. They imposed strict monopolies, forcing local populations to harvest cloves exclusively for Portuguese traders. But their dominance was short. In the early 17th century, the Dutch East India Company ousted the Portuguese and took control of the Spice Islands. The Dutch implemented a brutal system to maintain their monopoly, destroying clove trees on islands they'd tea control and punishing anyone caught growing or trading cloves without their permission. One of the most infamous episodes in clove history is the massacre of the Banda Islands in 1621. Determined to secure their monopoly on nutmeg and cloves, launched a violent campaign against the local population, killing thousands and enslaving the survivors. This dark chapter underscores the lengths to which European powers went to control the lucrative spice trade. Despite these efforts, the monopoly on cloves eventually broke. In the late 18th century, the French smuggled clove seedlings out of the Spice Islands and began cultivating the trees in other parts of the world, including the islands of Zanzibar and Madagascar. This marked the beginning of a new era in the clove trade, making the spice more widely available and affordable. Today, cloves are grown in various tropical regions, but their connection to the Spice Islands remains a vital part of their story. They are used in cuisines around the globe, from Indian curries to European mulled wines to Middle Eastern spice blends. Cloves are also a key ingredient in traditional medicines and rituals, their potent aroma evoking a sense of warmth and healing. Cloves have even found their way into modern science. The compound eugenol, which gives cloves their distinctive aroma, has been studied for its antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. This scientific interest is a testament to the enduring appeal of a spice that has been cherished for millennia. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush forests of the Spice Islands, the bustling markets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who risked everything for a taste of this exotic spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting clove buds, the opulent feasts of European nobility, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped cultures and histories around the world. The story of cloves is a story of mystery, power, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to captivate us. Nutmeg and mace. These twin spices, derived from the same tree, have a history as rich and aromatic as their flavors. Nutmeg, with its warm, nutty sweetness, and mace, with its subtle, floral spiciness, have been coveted for centuries, inspiring exploration, trade wars, and even myths. Tonight, let's delve into the intertwined stories of nutmeg and mace, two spices that have left an indelible mark on the world. Picture yourself on the Banda Islands, a small cluster of islands in Indonesia that were once the exclusive home of the nutmeg tree. The air is fragrant with the scent of nutmeg, the tree's fruit resembling a small peach. When the fruit ripens, it splits open to reveal a glossy brown seed, the nutmeg ink. Nutmeg and mace were known to the ancient world long before the European age of exploration. In India and China, these spices were prized for their medicinal properties, used to treat everything from digestive issues to insomnia. In the Middle East, nutmeg and mace were valued for their ability to flavor food and perfume the air, their exotic aroma, a symbol of luxury and refinement. By the Middle Ages, nutmeg and mace had become highly sought after in Europe. They were used to flavor meats, preserve foods, and even as a remedy for the plague. The belief that nutmeg could ward off disease made it one of the most expensive spices of the era, worth more than its weight in gold. The demand for nutmeg and mace was so great that it fueled the age of exploration. As European powers sought to control the source of these precious spices, the Portuguese were the first to reach the Banda Islands in the early 16th century, establishing a monopoly on the nutmeg trade. They imposed harsh conditions on the local population, forcing them to harvest the spices exclusively for Portuguese traders. But the Portuguese monopoly was short. In the early 17th century, the Dutch East India Company seized control of the Banda Islands, using brutal tactics to maintain their dominance. One of the darkest episodes in this history is the Banda Massacre of 1621, when the Dutch killed or enslaved thousands of Bandanese people to secure their monopoly on nutmeg and mace. The Dutch went to extraordinary lengths to protect their control over these spices. They destroyed nutmeg trees on islands they didn't control, burned surplus nutmeg to keep prices high, and guarded the Banda Islands with military force. This ruthless strategy allowed the Dutch to dominate the nutmeg and mace trade for more than a century. The monopoly began to crumble in the late 18th century, when the French smuggled nutmeg seedlings out of the Banda Islands and began cultivating the trees in other parts of the world, including the islands of Grenada and Zanzibar. This marked the end of the Dutch stranglehold on the nutmeg trade and made the spices more widely available. Today, nutmeg and mace are grown in tropical regions around the world, but their connection to the Banda Islands remains an integral part of their story. These spices are used in cuisines across the globe, from the spiced cakes of Europe to the curries of India, to the festive eggnogs of North America. Their warm, aromatic flavors have become synonymous with comfort and celebration. Nutmeg and mace also have a fascinating place in science and medicine. Nutmeg contains compounds with psychoactive properties, and in large quantities, it can act as a hallucinogen. While this has led to some caution in its use, nutmeg and mace continue to be valued for their medicinal properties, including their ability to aid digestion and improve sleep. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush groves of the Banda Islands, the bustling spice markets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who risked everything for a taste of these exotic spices. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting nutmeg and mace, the opulent feasts of European nobility, and the enduring allure of spices that have shaped history and culture for centuries. The story of nutmeg and mace is a story of rarity, power, and the timeless appeal of flavors that continue to delight us. Saffron, known as the golden spice. Saffron is the most expensive spice in the world, its value rivaling that of precious metals. With its vivid crimson threads and distinctive aroma, saffron has been treasured for thousands of years, not only for its culinary uses, but also for its medicinal, artistic, and cultural significance. Tonight, let's uncover the extraordinary story of saffron, a spice steeped in legend, labor, and luxury. Imagine yourself in the sun-drenched fields of Iran, the world's largest producer of saffron. Here, the crocus flower blooms for just a few weeks each autumn. Each flower produces only 3 delicate red stigmas, the saffron threads. which must be harvested by hand in the early morning to preserve their quality. It takes around 75,000 flowers to produce just 1 pound of saffron, a fact that underscores its rarity and value. The origins of saffron are shrouded in mystery, but its history stretches back more than 3,000 years. Ancient frescoes from the Minoan civilization on the island of Crete depict saffron being harvested, suggesting its use in rituals and medicine. In ancient Persia, saffron was celebrated for its vibrant color and fragrance, used to dye fabrics, perfume the air, and flavor dishes fit for royalty. Saffron also played a significant role in ancient India, where it was considered a sacred spice. It was used in religious ceremonies, Ayurvedic medicine, and even as a cosmetic, with women applying saffron paste to their skin for a radiant glow. In China, saffron was prized for its medicinal properties, believed to promote vitality and alleviate depression. The spice's journey to Europe began with the expansion of trade routes. By the Middle Ages, saffron had become a symbol of wealth and sophistication, used to flavor food, dye textiles, and even treat the plague. The spice was so valuable that it was often adulterated with cheaper substances, leading to the establishment of strict laws to protect its purity. One of the most fascinating chapters in saffron's history is the Saffron War of the 14th century. This conflict erupted in Europe after a shipment of saffron was stolen, highlighting the spice's immense value and the lengths to which people would go to control its trade. Saffron cultivation eventually spread to Spain, where it became an integral part of the country's culinary heritage. Today, Spanish saffron, particularly from the La Mancha region, is renowned for its quality. Its golden threads a key ingredient in dishes like paella. Despite its widespread use, saffron remains one of the most labor-intensive spices to produce. Each crocus flower must be picked by hand, and the threads carefully separated and dried to preserve their flavor and color. This meticulous process is a testament to the dedication and skill of saffron farmers, who work tirelessly to bring this precious spice to market. Saffron's unique flavor and aroma come from compounds like saffrono and crocin, which give it its characteristic scent and vibrant hue. These compounds have also been studied for their potential health benefits, including their antioxidant and antidepressant properties. This scientific interest adds another layer of intrigue to saffron's already fascinating story. Today, saffron is used in cuisines around the world, from the biryanis of India to the risottos of Italy to the deserts of the Middle East. Its golden threads symbolize celebration and luxury, their warm, floral aroma elevating even the simplest of dishes. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the fields of crocus flowers glowing in the morning sun, the bustling spice markets of ancient Persia, and the elegant feasts of medieval Europe. Picture the hands of farmers carefully plucking each delicate thread, the vibrant colors of saffron-dyed fabrics, and the enduring allure of a spice that has captivated humanity for millennia. The story of saffron is a story of beauty, labor, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to enchant us. Vanilla, sweet, floral, and comforting. Vanilla is one of the world's most beloved flavors. Yet, behind its familiar taste lies an extraordinary story of discovery, ingenuity, and labor. Tonight, let's explore the journey of vanilla spice that has transformed deserts, perfumes, and even history itself. Imagine yourself in the lush rainforests of Mexico, the birthplace of vanilla. The spice comes from the orchid Vanilla plana, a delicate vine that produces fragrant pods. Vanilla orchids are unique because they require hand pollination to produce their prized pods, a painstaking process that underscores the rarity and value of this spice. The story of vanilla begins with the Totonac people of Mexico, who were the first to cultivate the vanilla orchid. They considered the spice sacred, using it in rituals and as an offering to their gods. When the Aztecs conquered the Totonacs, they adopted vanilla and combined it with cacao to create a drink reserved for royalty. This luxurious concoction, known as zocolatl, was said to be a favorite of Emperor Montezuma. Vanilla's journey to Europe began in the early 16th century, when Spanish conquistadors brought the spice back from the Americas. It quickly became a sensation, used to flavor chocolate and later incorporated into desserts, perfumes, and medicine. The exotic aroma of vanilla captivated European aristocracy, making it a symbol of luxury and refinement. For centuries, Mexico remained the sole producer of vanilla, as the orchid's unique pollination requirements made it impossible to cultivate elsewhere. This changed in the mid-19th century, when a young slave named Edmund Obeus discovered a method of hand-pollinating vanilla orchids on the island of. His innovation revolutionized vanilla cultivation, allowing the spice to be grown in tropical regions around the world. Today, Madagascar is the largest producer of vanilla, known for its high-quality bourbon vanilla. The island's warm climate and skilled farmers have made it the global leader in vanilla production, though the labor-intensive nature of the spice means it remains one of the most expensive in the world. The process of producing vanilla is meticulous and time-consuming. After the orchids are pollinated, the pods take several months to mature. Once harvested, they undergo a lengthy curing process, during which they develop their characteristic flavor and aroma. This dedication to craftsmanship is a testament to the skill and patience of vanilla farmers. Vanilla's distinctive flavor comes from vanillin, a compound that is responsible for its sweet, floral notes. While synthetic vanillin is widely used in commercial products, true vanilla remains irreplaceable for those who value its depth and complexity. Beyond its culinary uses, vanilla has a rich history in perfumery and medicine. Its soothing aroma has been used to calm nerves, promote relaxation, and even as an aphrodisiac. This versatility adds to vanilla's enduring appeal, making it a spice that transcends boundaries and cultures. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the rainforests of Mexico, the bustling markets of colonial Europe, and the innovative spirit of Edmond Albius. Picture the hands of farmers carefully pollinating orchids, the vibrant pods curing in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and comforted hearts for centuries. The story of vanilla is a story of beauty, ingenuity, and the timeless appeal of a flavor that continues to inspire us. Cinnamon. Warm, sweet, and aromatic. Cinnamon is one of the oldest and most universally loved spices in the world. Its history is steeped in mystery, power, and allure, as it was once so valuable that it sparked wars and inspired exploration. Tonight, let us unravel the fascinating story of cinnamon, a spice that has left its mark on cultures and cuisines across the globe. Imagine yourself in the dense forests of Sri Lanka, where the finest cinnamon in the world, Cinnamon virem, is harvested. The spice comes from the inner bark of the cinnamon tree, which is carefully peeled, rolled into quills, and dried in the sun to develop its characteristic aroma and flavor. The history of cinnamon dates back thousands of years. Ancient Egyptians used it in embalming rituals, believing its fragrance would help guide the dead to the afterlife. In ancient India and China, cinnamon was prized for its medicinal properties, used to treat ailments ranging from colds to digestive issues. The Bible also mentions cinnamon as a sacred spice, used to anoint holy spaces and as an offering. By the time of the Roman Empire, cinnamon had become a symbol of wealth and luxury. It was used to flavor wine, perfume the air, and even mask the smell of burning bodies during funerals. The Roman Emperor Nero is said to have burned a year's supply of cinnamon at his wife's funeral as a display of his grief and During the Middle Ages, cinnamon was one of the most sought-after spices in Europe. It was used to preserve meat, flavor food, and create medicines and perfumes. The spice was so rare and expensive that it became a status symbol, reserved for the wealthy elite. Cinnamon's immense value made it a driving force behind the age of exploration. European powers, eager to control the spice trade, set out to discover the source of cinnamon. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese reached Sri Lanka and established a monopoly on cinnamon production. They forced local populations to harvest the spice under harsh conditions, reaping immense profits from its trade. In the 17th century, the Dutch East India Company seized control of Sri Lanka and its cinnamon trade from the Portuguese. The Dutch implemented strict policies to maintain their monopoly, including destroying wild cinnamon trees and tightly controlling cultivation. However, their dominance was eventually challenged by the British, who took control of Sri Lanka in the late 18th century. Today, cinnamon is grown in various tropical regions, but Sri Lanka remains the heart of its production. The island's unique climate and soil conditions produce cinnamon of unparalleled quality. Its delicate quills and sweet aroma distinguishing it from other varieties like cassia, which is more common and less expensive. Cinnamon's flavor and aroma come from cinnamaldehyde, a compound found in the bark's essential oil. This compound not only gives cinnamon its distinctive taste, but also contributes to its medicinal properties, including its ability to reduce inflammation, regulate blood sugar, and boost immunity. Cinnamon is a cornerstone of cuisines around the world. It adds warmth to Indian curries, depth to Middle Eastern spice blends, and sweetness to European pastries. Its versatility and comforting flavor have made it a beloved ingredient in everything from savory dishes to holiday treats. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the cinnamon forests of Sri Lanka, the bustling spice markets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought the spice at any cost. Picture the hands of farmers carefully peeling cinnamon bark, the fragrant quills drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has captivated humanity for millennia. The story of cinnamon is a story of mystery, power, and the timeless appeal of a flavor that continues to warm our hearts. Clove, with its bold, spicy aroma and warm, slightly sweet flavor. Clove is a spice that has shaped history and inspired cultures for centuries. From ancient remedies to luxurious feasts, clove's influence spans continents and eras. Tonight, let us explore the rich and fascinating story of clover. Spice that has been both a symbol of wealth and a cornerstone of traditional medicine. Clove comes from the dried flower buds of the clove tree, an evergreen native to the Maluku Islands, also known as the Spice Islands, in Indonesia. The tree's buds are harvested just before they bloom, then sun-dried until they turn their characteristic dark brown. The result is a spice with an intense aroma and a sharp, distinctive flavor. The history of clove dates back more than 2,000 years. In ancient China, clove was highly valued for its medicinal properties. It was used to treat toothaches, freshen breath, and improve digestion. Chinese courtiers were even required to chew cloves before speaking to the emperor to ensure their breath was fragrant. Clove also played an important role in ancient Indian and Middle Eastern medicine. In Ayurveda, clove was used to treat respiratory and digestive issues, while in Unani medicine, it was prized for its warming and stimulating properties. Its use extended to ancient Rome, where clove was imported for its culinary and medicinal benefits. By the Middle Ages, clove had become one of the most expensive and sought-after spices in Europe. It was used to preserve meat, flavor food, and create perfumes and medicines. Like other rare spices, clove was a symbol of wealth and status, reserved for the elite. The spice trade brought clove to the attention of European explorers who sought to control its production and trade. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese reached the Spice Islands and established a monopoly on clove. They controlled the trade for nearly a century, reaping immense profits from the spice's high demand. In the early 17th century, the Dutch East India Company seized control of the clove trade from the Portuguese. The Dutch enforced their monopoly with ruthless tactics, including destroying clove trees on islands they didn't control and punishing locals who attempted to grow or trade the spice independently. This period of Dutch dominance lasted until the late 18th century, when the French and British began cultivating clove in other regions, breaking the monopoly. Today, clove is grown in tropical regions around the world, including Indonesia, Madagascar, Zanzibar, and Sri Lanka. Indonesia remains the largest producer, with clove playing a central role in the country's culture and cuisine, particularly in the production of kretek, a type of clove-flavored cigarette. Clove's unique flavor comes from eugenol, a compound that gives the spice its warm, spicy aroma and medicinal properties. Eugenol is a powerful antiseptic and anesthetic, which is why clove oil is often used in dentistry to relieve toothaches and gum pain. Clove also has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, making it a valuable ingredient in traditional and modern medicine. In the kitchen, clove is a versatile spice that adds depth and warmth to both sweet and savory dishes. It is a key ingredient in spice blends like garam masala, Chinese five-spice, and pumpkin spice. Clove enhances the flavor of baked goods, stews, and marinades, and its bold aroma makes it a popular addition to holiday drinks like mulled wine and cider. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the clove trees of the Spice Islands, the bustling markets of ancient China, and the opulent feasts of medieval Europe. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting clove buds, the fragrant spices drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and culture for millennia. The story of clove is a story of power, resilience, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to captivate our senses. Nutmeg and mace. These two spices, derived from the same fruit, have a shared history of intrigue, conquest, and culinary delight. Nutmeg, with its warm, sweet flavor, and mace, with its delicate, slightly spicier profile, are twin treasures that have captivated the world for centuries. Tonight, let's uncover the story of nutmeg and mace, a tale of exotic islands, fierce rivalries, and enduring allure. Imagine yourself in the Banda Islands of Indonesia, the only place on Earth where the nutmeg tree originally grew. These tiny islands, part of the legendary Spice Islands, were once the epicenter of the global spice trade. The nutmeg tree produces a fruit that, when ripe, splits open to reveal a shiny brown seed wrapped in a bright red, lacy covering. Both parts of the fruit are carefully harvested, dried, and processed to create the spices we know today. The history of nutmeg and mace stretches back thousands of years. In ancient times, these spices were highly valued for their medicinal properties. Arab traders brought nutmeg and mace to the Middle East, where they were used to treat digestive issues, improve circulation, and even as an aphrodisiac. The spices eventually made their way to Europe, where they became symbols of luxury and power. By the Middle Ages, nutmeg and mace were among the most coveted spices in Europe. They were used to flavor food, preserve meat, and create perfumes and medicines. Nutmeg in particular was believed to have magical properties and was carried as a charm to ward off illness and evil spirits. Its high value made it a status symbol, reserved for the wealthy elite. The immense demand for nutmeg and mace drove European powers to seek control of the Spice Islands. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese were the first Europeans to reach the Banda Islands, establishing a monopoly on the nutmeg trade. However, their dominance was short. In the early 17th century, the Dutch East India Company seized control of the islands, enforcing their monopoly with brutal tactics. One of the most infamous episodes in the history of nutmeg is the Nutmeg Massacre of 1621, during which the Dutch violently suppressed a rebellion by the Bandanese people. This event marked the beginning of nearly 2 centuries of Dutch control over the nutmeg trade. To maintain their monopoly, the Dutch destroyed nutmeg trees on islands they didn't control and imposed strict regulations on cultivation and trade. The Dutch monopoly was eventually broken in the late 18th century when the British smuggled nutmeg trees to other tropical regions, including Grenada, Zanzibar, and Sri Lanka. Today, Grenada is known as the Island of Spice and is one of the world's largest producers of nutmeg and mace. The unique flavors of nutmeg and mace come from compounds like myristicin and saffron, which give the spices their warm, aromatic profiles. These compounds also contribute to their medicinal properties, including their ability to relieve pain, improve digestion, and promote relaxation. However, nutmeg should be used in moderation, as consuming large amounts can be toxic. In the kitchen, nutmeg and mace are versatile spices that enhance both sweet and savory dishes. Nutmeg is a key ingredient in desserts like custards, pies, and cakes, as well as in creamy sauces and soups. Mace, with its slightly more delicate flavor, is often used in spice blends, baked goods, and savory dishes like sausages and stews. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush nutmeg groves of the Banda Islands, the bustling spice markets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who risked everything to control these precious spices. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the fruit, the vibrant red mace drying in the sun, and the warm, comforting aroma of nutmeg wafting through kitchens around the world. The story of nutmeg and mace is a story of discovery, conflict, and the timeless appeal of spices that continue to enrich our lives. Pepper, known as the king of spices, black pepper is one of the most ubiquitous and historically significant spices in the world. Its sharp, pungent flavor has transformed cuisines and driven global trade for millennia. Tonight, let's delve into the story of black pepper, a spice that has shaped economies, inspired exploration, and stood the test of time. Pepper comes from the dried berries, or peppercorns, of the Piper nigrum vine. Native to the Malabar coast of India, in modern-day, the plant thrives in the region's humid, tropical climate, producing clusters of small, green berries that are harvested and dried to create black pepper. White and green pepper are also derived from the same plant, with their differences resulting from variations in processing. The history of pepper stretches back thousands of years. In ancient India, pepper was revered not only for its culinary uses, but also for its medicinal properties. Ayurvedic texts describe pepper as a powerful remedy for colds, coughs, and digestive issues. It was also used in religious rituals, symbolizing prosperity and purification. Pepper's influence extended far beyond India, thanks to Arab traders who brought the spice to the Middle East and Mediterranean. By the time of the Roman Empire, pepper had become a prized commodity, used to flavor food, preserve meat, and create medicines. The Romans valued pepper so highly that it was often used as currency, and Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in pepper instead of gold. During the Middle Ages, pepper was one of the most sought after spices in Europe. Its sharp, warming flavor made it indispensable in medieval kitchens, while its rarity and high cost made it a status symbol for the wealthy. Pepper was so valuable that it was often referred to as black gold, and its trade was a major driver of the European spice trade. The quest for pepper and other spices played a central role in the age of exploration. European powers, eager to bypass Arab and Venetian middlemen, sought direct access to the spice-rich regions of Asia. In 1498, Vasco da Gama's historic voyage to India marked the beginning of European domination of the spice trade. The Portuguese established a monopoly on the pepper trade, controlling its production and distribution for nearly a century. In the 17th century, the Dutch East India Company and the British East India Company challenged Portuguese, vying for control of the lucrative spice trade. The competition for pepper and other spices led to the colonization of spice-producing regions, including India, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. This period of European imperialism had a profound impact on the history and cultures of these regions. Today, black pepper is grown in tropical regions around the world, with Vietnam being the largest producer. However, the Malabar coast remains synonymous with high-quality pepper, and the region's Telekari pepper is considered one of the finest varieties. The pungent flavor of black pepper comes from piperine, a compound found in the outer layer of the peppercorn. Piperine not only gives pepper its characteristic heat, but also has numerous health benefits, including its ability to improve digestion, enhance nutrient absorption, and act as an antioxidant. In the kitchen, black pepper is a versatile spice that enhances the flavor of virtually any dish. It is a staple in spice blends, marinades, and rubs, and its sharp, warming heat makes it a perfect complement to both savory and sweet dishes. From the simplest scrambled eggs to the most complex curries, black pepper is a cornerstone of global cuisine. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush pepper plantations of the Malabar coast, the bustling spice markets of ancient Rome, and the daring voyages of explorers who risked everything to bring this precious spice to the world. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting peppercorn, the fragrant spices drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of black pepper is a story of resilience, ambition, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to reign as the king of vanilla. Elegant, aromatic, and universally loved, vanilla is one of the most cherished flavors in the world. Its sweet, floral notes have transformed desserts, perfumes, and beverages for centuries. Yet, the story of vanilla is one of mystery, ingenuity, and perseverance, a tale that spans continents and cultures. Tonight, let's uncover the fascinating journey of vanilla spice that has captured the hearts of millions. Vanilla comes from the pods of the vanilla orchid, a climbing plant native to Mexico and Central America. The orchid produces long, green pods that are harvested and cured to develop their characteristic flavor and aroma. Each pod undergoes a meticulous curing process that includes drying, sweating, and fermenting, which can take several months to complete. The history of vanilla begins with the ancient Totonac people of Mexico, who were the first to cultivate the vanilla orchid. They considered vanilla sacred and used it in rituals and as a flavoring for food and drink. When the Aztecs conquered the Totonacs, they adopted vanilla and combined it with cacao to create a luxurious beverage known as zo. This drink, made with vanilla, cacao, and spices, was reserved for royalty and warriors. Vanilla's introduction to Europe came in the early 16th century, when Spanish conquistadors brought it back along with cacao. Initially, vanilla was used exclusively as a flavoring for chocolate, and its rarity made it a luxury item reserved for the elite. By the 17th century, vanilla began to be used as a standalone flavor, and its popularity soared. Despite its growing demand, vanilla remained incredibly rare and expensive due to the challenges of cultivating the vanilla orchid. The plant requires specific conditions to thrive and must be pollinated by hand or by a specific species of bee native to Mexico. For centuries, Mexico was the sole producer of vanilla, as the orchid failed to produce pods when grown elsewhere. In the mid-19th century, a breakthrough occurred when Edmund Albert a 12-year-old enslaved boy on the island discovered a method of hand-pollinating vanilla orchids. His technique revolutionized vanilla cultivation, enabling the plant to be grown in tropical regions around the world, including Madagascar and Indonesia. Today, Madagascar is the largest producer of vanilla, accounting for approximately 80% of global production. Vanilla's unique flavor and aroma come from vanillin, a compound found in the pods. The curing process enhances the concentration of vanilla, resulting in the warm, sweet, and floral notes that make vanilla so beloved. In addition to its culinary uses, vanilla is prized for its soothing and calming properties, making it a popular ingredient in perfumes, candles, and aromatherapy. In the kitchen, vanilla is a cornerstone of desserts and baked goods. It adds depth and sweetness to cakes, cookies, custards, and ice creams, and its versatility makes it a perfect complement to chocolate, fruit, and spices. Vanilla extract, made by steeping vanilla pods in alcohol, is a staple in kitchens around the world, while whole vanilla pods are often used to infuse creams and sauces. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush vanilla plantations of Madagascar, the bustling markets of ancient Mexico, and the ingenuity of Edmond Albert, whose discovery changed the course of vanilla's history. Picture the hands of farmers carefully pollinating orchids, the fragrant pods curing in the sun, and the enduring allure of a flavor that continues to enchant us. The story of vanilla is a story of dedication, innovation, and the timeless appeal of a spice that has become synonymous with sweetness and comfort. With its warm, sweet, and woody aroma, cinnamon is a spice that has delighted palates and enriched lives for thousands of years. Its history is steeped in mystery, mythology, and global trade, making it one of the most fascinating spices in the world. Tonight, let us journey through the story of cinnamon, a spice that has been revered as a gift fit for gods and kings. Cinnamon is derived from the inner bark of trees belonging to the cinnamon genus. While there are several varieties of cinnamon, the two most commonly used are Ceylon cinnamon, also known as true cinnamon, and Cassia cinnamon, which has a stronger, spicier flavor. Ceylon cinnamon is native to Sri Lanka, while Cassia cinnamon is primarily grown in China, Indonesia, and Vietnam. The history of cinnamon dates back to ancient times. It was first mentioned in ancient Egyptian texts as early as 2000 BC, where it was used in embalming rituals, perfumes, and offerings to the gods. The Egyptians valued cinnamon so highly that it was considered more precious than gold. Cinnamon also appears in the Bible, where it was used to anoint holy sites and as a symbol of wealth and divine favor. In ancient Greece and Rome, cinnamon was a luxury item reserved for the elite. It was used to flavor food, create perfumes, and even as a medicinal remedy for ailments such as indigestion and colds. The Roman Emperor Nero is said to have burned a year's supply of cinnamon at the funeral of his wife, Poppaea, as a display of his grief and wealth. Cinnamon's origins were shrouded in mystery for centuries, as Arab traders guarded the source of the spice to maintain their monopoly. They wove elaborate tales about cinnamon being harvested from the nests of giant birds or guarded by fierce serpents, adding to its allure. These myths kept cinnamon's true origins hidden until the age of exploration. The quest for cinnamon and other spices drove European exploration and colonization. In the 16th century, the Portuguese reached Sri Lanka and established a monopoly on the cinnamon trade. They controlled the spice's production and distribution for nearly a century, reaping immense profits. In the early 17th century, the Dutch East India Company wrested control of the cinnamon trade from the Portuguese, employing brutal tactics to maintain their dominance. By the 18th century, the British had taken control of Sri Lanka and the cinnamon trade. However, the introduction of Cassia cinnamon from other regions reduced the monopoly's profitability, making cinnamon more accessible to the general population. Today, cinnamon is widely cultivated in tropical regions, with Indonesia and Sri Lanka being the largest producers. Cinnamon's warm, sweet flavor comes from cinnamaldehyd, a compound found in the bark. This compound not only gives cinnamon its characteristic aroma, but also contributes to its health benefits, including its ability to regulate blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and improve heart health. In the kitchen, cinnamon is a versatile spice that enhances both sweet and savory dishes. It is a key ingredient in spice blends like garam masala, pumpkin spice, and Chinese five-spice. Cinnamon adds warmth to baked goods, desserts, and beverages, and its earthy sweetness pairs beautifully with fruits, nuts, and chocolate. It is also used in savory dishes, such as curries, stews, and roasted meats, in cuisines around the world. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the cinnamon groves of Sri Lanka, the bustling spice markets of ancient Egypt, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully peeling cinnamon bark, the fragrant curls drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has enriched our lives for millennia. The story of cinnamon is a story of mystery, desire, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to warm our hearts and homes. Cloves, with their bold, aromatic intensity and a flavor that is both sweet and spicy. Cloves are one of the most distinctive spices in the world. Their story is one of ancient traditions, global trade, and profound cultural significance. Tonight, let's explore the journey of cloves, a spice that has left its mark on history, medicine, and cuisine. Cloves are the dried flower buds of the Sacidium aromaticum tree, an evergreen native to the Maluku Islands, also known as the Spice Islands, in Indonesia. The buds are harvested by hand just before they bloom, then dried until they turn a deep reddish. Their name comes from the Latin word clavis, meaning nail, due to their distinctive shape. The history of cloves dates back more than 2,000 years. In ancient China, cloves were highly prized and used as a breath freshener and a symbol of respect. Court officials were required to chew cloves before speaking to the emperor to ensure their breath was pleasing. Cloves were also valued in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine for their antiseptic and pain-relieving properties. Cloves made their way to the Middle East and Europe through Arab traders who kept the source of the spice a closely guarded secret. By the time of the Roman Empire, cloves were a luxury item, used to flavor food, create perfumes, and treat ailments. Their rarity and high costs made them a status symbol among the elite. During the Middle Ages, cloves became a cornerstone of the spice trade. They were used to preserve meat, flavor dishes, and create medicinal remedies. Cloves were so valuable that they were often worth their weight in gold, and their trade was fiercely contested by European powers. The quest for cloves and other spices drove the age of exploration. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese reached the Maluku Islands and established a monopoly on the clove trade. They controlled the production and distribution of cloves for nearly a century, reaping immense profits. However, their dominance was challenged by the Dutch East India Company, which seized control of the Spice Islands in the early 17th century. The Dutch enforced their clove monopoly with ruthless tactics, including the destruction of clove trees on islands they didn't control. This strategy, known as the extirpation policy, was designed to limit supply and maintain high prices. The monopoly was eventually broken in the 18th century when clove trees were smuggled to other regions, including Zanzibar and Madagascar, where they thrived. Today, cloves are grown in tropical regions around the world, with Indonesia, Madagascar, and Tanzania being the largest producers. Despite their global cultivation, the Maluku Islands remain synonymous with the history and mystique of cloves. The unique flavor and aroma of cloves come from a compound that gives the spice its warm, spicy, and slightly sweet profile. Eugenol also contributes to cloves' medicinal properties, including their ability to relieve pain, reduce inflammation, and act as a natural antiseptic. In the kitchen, cloves are a versatile spice that enhances both sweet and savory dishes. They are a key ingredient in spice blends like garam masala, Chinese five-spice, and pumpkin spice, and their bold flavor is often used to season meats, stews, and rice dishes. Cloves also shine in desserts, beverages, and baked goods, adding warmth and depth to mulled wine, gingerbread, and spiced teas. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the clove trees of the Maluku Islands, the bustling spice markets of ancient China, and the daring voyages of explorers who risked everything to control this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the delicate buds, the fragrant spices drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of cloves is a story of mystery, ambition, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to captivate our senses. Nutmeg and mace, two spices derived from the same seed. Nutmeg and mace are a testament to nature's ability to create culinary treasures. With their warm, sweet, and slightly nutty flavors, these spices have been cherished for centuries, not only for their taste, but also for their medicinal and cultural significance. Tonight, let's uncover the intertwined story of nutmeg and mace, a tale of discovery, conflict, and enduring appeal. Nutmeg and mace come from the seed of the Myristica fragrans tree, an evergreen native to the Banda Islands, part of Indonesia's Maluku Islands, also known as the Spice Islands. Nutmeg is the kernel of the seed, while mace is the lacy, red covering that surrounds it. Both spices are harvested by hand, with mace carefully peeled away and dried until it turns a golden-orange color, and nutmeg processed separately. The history of nutmeg and mace begins in the Banda Islands, where they were cultivated and used by the local population for centuries. Nutmeg was valued not only as a spice, but also as a medicine and a symbol of prosperity. It was believed to have magical properties, including the ability to ward off evil spirits and bring good fortune. Arab traders introduced nutmeg and mace to the Middle East and Europe, where they became prized commodities. By the Middle Ages, nutmeg and mace were highly sought after for their culinary uses and medicinal properties. They were used to flavor food, preserve meat, and treat ailments ranging from digestive issues to the plague. Their rarity and high costs made them a luxury item reserved for the elite. The quest for nutmeg and mace played a central role in the age of exploration. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese reached the Banda Islands and established a monopoly on the nutmeg trade. They controlled the production and distribution of nutmeg and mace for nearly a century, reaping immense profits. However, their dominance was challenged by the Dutch East India Company, which seized control of the Banda Islands in the early 17th century. The Dutch enforced their monopoly with brutal tactics, including the destruction of nutmeg trees on islands they'd in, tea control and the massacre of the Banda Island population. This dark chapter in the history of nutmeg and mace highlights the lengths to which European powers went to secure their hold on the spice trade. The monopoly was eventually broken in the late 18th century when nutmeg trees were smuggled to other regions, including Grenada, where they thrived. Today, nutmeg and mace are grown in tropical regions around the world, with Indonesia and Grenada being the largest producers. Grenada is often referred to as the island of spice, due to its significant nutmeg production. The warm, sweet flavor of nutmeg comes from compounds such as myristicin and saffron, while mace has a slightly spicier and more delicate profile. Both spices are valued not only for their culinary uses, but also for their medicinal properties, including their ability to aid digestion, reduce inflammation, and improve circulation. In the kitchen, nutmeg and mace are versatile spices that enhance both sweet and savory dishes. Nutmeg is often used in baked goods, desserts, and beverages, adding warmth and depth to pies, custards, and eggnog. It is also a key ingredient in savory dishes such as soups, sauces, and mashed potatoes. Mace, with its more delicate flavor, is used in spice blends, marinades, and pastries, and it pairs beautifully with seafood and vegetables. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the nutmeg groves of the Banda Islands, the bustling spice markets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the seeds, the fragrant spices drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of nutmeg and mace is a story of resilience, ambition, and the timeless appeal of spices that continue to captivate our senses. Saffron, known as the golden spice. Saffron is the most expensive spice in the world, valued for its vibrant color, delicate flavor, and medicinal properties. Its history is one of luxury, labor, and legend, spanning thousands of years and crossing continents. Tonight, let's delve into the story of saffron, a spice that has been a symbol of wealth, beauty, and healing throughout history. Saffron is derived from the stigmas of the Crocus sativus, a flowering plant that blooms in autumn. Each flower produces only 3 red stigmas, which must be harvested by hand, making saffron one of the most labor-intensive crops in the world. It takes approximately 75,000 flowers to produce just 1 pound of saffron, which explains its high cost. The history of saffron dates back over 3,000 years. It is believed to have originated in the region encompassing modern-day Iran, where it was first cultivated. Ancient Persian texts describe saffron as a symbol of joy and prosperity, and it was used in rituals, medicine, and as a dye. The Persians also used saffron to flavor their food and create luxurious perfumes. Saffron spread from Persia to other parts of the ancient world, including India, Greece, and Rome. In India, saffron became an integral part of Ayurvedic medicine, and was used to treat a variety of ailments, from digestive issues to depression. It also became a sacred ingredient in Hindu rituals and was used to dye the robes of monks and priests. In ancient Greece and Rome, saffron was associated with luxury and indulgence. It was used to perfume baths, flavor food, and as a dye for garments worn by the elite. Cleopatra is said to have bathed in saffron-infused water to enhance her beauty, while Roman emperors scattered saffron on the floors of their palaces during celebrations. During the Middle Ages, saffron became it was used as a spice, a medicine, and a dye, and its rarity made it a symbol of wealth and status. The spice trade brought saffron to markets across Europe, and its high value led to the rise of saffron pirates, who smuggled the spice and counterfeited it with cheaper substitutes. Saffron cultivation spread to Spain during the Arab conquest, and the region became a major producer of the spice. Today, Spain, Iran, and India are among the largest producers of saffron, with Iran accounting for over 90% of global production. Despite its widespread cultivation, saffron remains one of the most expensive spices due to the labor-intensive harvesting process and the delicate nature of the crop. The unique flavor and aroma of saffron come from compounds such as crocin. These compounds give saffron its golden color, bittersweet taste, and floral aroma. Saffron is also rich in antioxidants and has been used in traditional medicine to improve mood, boost memory, and promote overall health. In the kitchen, saffron is a prized ingredient that adds depth and color to a wide range of dishes. It is a key component of iconic recipes such as Spanish paella, Italian risotto, alla Milanese. Saffron is also used to flavor desserts, teas, and liqueurs, and its vibrant hue makes it a natural dye for food and textiles. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the saffron fields of Iran, the bustling spice markets of ancient Persia, and the luxurious palaces of Rome and Egypt. Picture the hands of farmers carefully plucking the delicate stigmas, the golden threads drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has captivated humanity for millennia. The story of saffron is a story of beauty, labor, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to dazzle our senses. Vanilla, often referred to as the queen of spices, vanilla is cherished for its rich, creamy flavor and intoxicating aroma. It is a spice that has captured the hearts of people around the world, weaving its way into our culinary traditions and cultural heritage. Tonight, let's explore the fascinating journey of vanilla spice that embodies luxury, romance, and the art of cultivation. Vanilla is derived from the beans of the Vanilla planifolia orchid, a tropical vine native to Mexico. The plant produces long, green pods that are harvested when mature and then undergo a meticulous curing process to develop their characteristic flavor and aroma. This labor-intensive process involves blanching, sweating, drying, and conditioning the beans over several months. The history of vanilla dates back to the ancient Totonac people of Mexico, who were the first to cultivate the vanilla orchid. According to Totonac mythology, vanilla was born from the blood of a princess who sacrificed herself to escape an unwanted marriage, and the orchid was seen as a gift from the gods. The Aztecs later conquered the Totonacs and adopted vanilla, using it to flavor their chocolate drinks. Vanilla was introduced to Europe in the early 16th century by Spanish conquistadors, who were captivated by its unique flavor. It quickly became a luxury item among the European elite, used to flavor desserts, perfumes, and medicines. The demand for vanilla grew rapidly, but its cultivation remained limited to Mexico, as the vanilla orchid required specific pollination by a native bee species. In the 19th century, a breakthrough occurred when a 12-year-old slave named Edmund Albius discovered a method for hand-pollinating vanilla orchids on the island of. This discovery revolutionized vanilla cultivation, allowing it to spread to other tropical regions, including Madagascar and Tahiti. Today, Madagascar is the largest producer of vanilla, accounting for about 80% of the world's supply. Vanilla's complex flavor profile comes from compounds such as vanillin, which gives it its sweet, creamy taste and aroma. The spice is also rich in antioxidants and has been used in traditional medicine to reduce stress, improve mood, and enhance cognitive function. In the kitchen, vanilla is a versatile ingredient that enhances a wide range of dishes. It is a staple in baking, used to flavor cakes, cookies, and custards. Vanilla is also a key ingredient in ice cream, chocolate, and beverages, adding depth and warmth to everything from coffee to cocktails. Beyond its culinary uses, vanilla is a popular scent in perfumes and aromas, celebrated for its soothing and comforting qualities. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush vanilla plantations of Madagascar, the vibrant markets of ancient Mexico, and the elegant salons of 19th century Europe. Picture the hands of farmers carefully tending the delicate orchids, the fragrant beans curing in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has enriched our lives for centuries. The story of vanilla is a story of discovery, innovation, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to enchant our senses. Cinnamon, warm, sweet, and fragrant. Cinnamon is one of the oldest and most beloved spices in the world. Its history spans thousands of years, touching the lives of ancient civilizations, medieval merchants, and modern chefs. Tonight, let's uncover the story of cinnamon, a spice that has inspired myths, fueled trade, and brought comfort to countless kitchens. Cinnamon is derived from the inner bark of trees belonging to the cinnamon genus. The most prized variety, Ceylon cinnamon, is native to Sri Lanka, while cassia cinnamon, a stronger and more common variety, originates from China and Southeast Asia. The bark is harvested by peeling it from the tree, then rolled into quills and dried, creating the iconic cinnamon sticks. The history of cinnamon dates back over 4,000 years to ancient Egypt, where it was used as a perfume, medicine, and embalming agent. It was considered so valuable that it was often given as a gift to pharaohs and deities. Cinnamon also appears in the Bible, where it is mentioned as an ingredient in holy anointing oil. In ancient Rome, cinnamon was a symbol of luxury and status. It was used to flavor food, create incense, and mask unpleasant odors. The Roman Emperor Nero is said to have burned a year's supply of cinnamon at his wife's funeral as a display of his grief and wealth. During the Middle Ages, cinnamon became a cornerstone of the spice trade, valued not only for its flavor, but also for its ability to preserve meat. The source of cinnamon was a closely guarded secret for centuries. Arab traders controlled the cinnamon trade and wove elaborate tales about its origins, claiming it was harvested from nests of giant birds or guarded by venomous snakes. These myths added to the mystique and high value of the spice. The age of exploration brought European powers into the cinnamon trade. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese reached Sri Lanka and established a monopoly on Ceylon cinnamon. They controlled the trade for nearly a century before being ousted by the Dutch East India Company, which took over the cinnamon trade in the 17th century. The British later gained control of Sri Lanka in the 19th century, further expanding the global reach of cinnamon. Today, cinnamon is cultivated in tropical regions around the world, with Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam being major producers. While Ceylon cinnamon is considered the true cinnamon due to its delicate flavor, cassia cinnamon is more widely available and commonly used in cooking and baking. The warm, sweet flavor of cinnamon comes from the compound that gives the spice its distinctive aroma and taste. Cinnamon also contains antioxidants and has been used in traditional medicine to improve digestion, regulate blood sugar, and boost immunity. In the kitchen, cinnamon is a versatile spice that enhances both sweet and savory dishes. It is a key ingredient in spice blends like garam masala, chai masala, and pumpkin spice. Cinnamon is used to flavor desserts, beverages, and baked goods, from apple pies and cinnamon rolls to spiced lattes and mulled wine. It also shines in savory dishes like curries, stews, and roasted meats. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the cinnamon groves of Sri Lanka, the bustling spice markets of ancient Egypt, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully peeling the fragrant bark, the cinnamon quills drying in the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of cinnamon is a story of mystery, ambition, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to warm our hearts and homes. Cloves, aromatic and intense. Cloves are one of the most powerful spices in the world, known for their warm, sweet, and slightly bitter flavor. They have been treasured for centuries, not only for their culinary uses, but also for their medicinal and cultural significance. Tonight, let's delve into the story of cloves, a spice that has traveled across oceans, shaped empires, and captivated the senses of generations. Cloves are the dried flower buds of the Syzygium aromaticum tree, an evergreen native to the Maluku Islands, also known as the Spice Islands, in Indonesia. The buds are harvested by hand when they turn bright red, and are then sun-dried until they develop their characteristic dark brown color. Their name comes from the Latin word clavus, meaning nail, due to their distinctive shape. The history of cloves is deeply rooted in the Maluku Islands, where they were cultivated and used by the local population for thousands of years. Cloves were highly valued for their ability to preserve food, treat ailments, and add flavor to dishes. They also held cultural and spiritual significance, used in rituals and as offerings to deities. Arab traders introduced cloves to the Middle East and Europe, where they became a prized commodity. By the time of the Roman Empire, cloves were highly sought after for their culinary and medicinal properties. They were used to flavor food, freshen breath, and treat a variety of ailments, including toothaches and digestive issues. During the Middle Ages, cloves were among the most expensive spices in Europe, often worth their weight in gold. The spice trade was dominated by Arab and Venetian merchants, who controlled the flow of cloves and other spices to European markets. The high demand for cloves and other spices eventually led to the Age of Exploration, as European powers sought direct access to the Spice Islands. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese reached the Maluku Islands and established a monopoly on the clove trade. They were later challenged by the Dutch East India Company, which seized control of the islands in the 17th century. The Dutch enforced their monopoly with ruthless tactics, including the destruction of clove trees on islands they did not control, to maintain high prices. The monopoly was eventually broken when clove trees were smuggled to other regions, including Zanzibar and Madagascar, where they thrived. Today, Indonesia remains the largest producer of cloves, followed by Madagascar, Tanzania, and Sri Lanka. The intense flavor and aroma of cloves come from a compound that gives the spice its warm, sweet, and slightly medicinal taste. Cloves are also rich in antioxidants and have been used in traditional medicine to relieve pain, reduce inflammation, and improve digestion. In the kitchen, cloves are a versatile spice that adds depth and warmth to both sweet and savory dishes. They are a key ingredient in spice blends, like garam masala, Chinese, five-spice, and pumpkin spice. Cloves are used to flavor baked goods, desserts, and beverages, such as gingerbread, mulled wine, and chai tea. They also enhance savory dishes like curries, stews, and roasted meats, and are often studded into hams or oranges for both flavor and decoration. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the clove forests of the Maluku Island, the bustling spice markets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the fragrant buds, the cloves drying under the tropical sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of cloves is a story of resilience, ambition, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to captivate our senses. Nutmeg and mace, exotic and aromatic. Nutmeg and mace are two spices that come from the same fruit but offer distinct flavors and histories. Revered for their culinary uses and medicinal properties, these spices have played a pivotal role in the spice trade, inspiring exploration and even sparking wars. Tonight, let's uncover the story of nutmeg and mace, a tale of rarity, ambition, and the enduring allure of the Spice Islands. Nutmeg and mace are derived from the fruit of the Myristica fragrans tree, an evergreen native to the Banda Islands in Indonesia, part of the famed Maluku or Spice Islands. When the fruit ripens, it splits open to reveal a seed surrounded by a bright red, lacy covering. The mace is carefully removed, dried, and sold as blades or ground into powder, while the nutmeg seed is dried until its shell hardens, then cracked open to reveal the spice inside. The history of nutmeg and mace begins in the Banda Islands, where they were cultivated and used by the local population for centuries. These spices were highly valued for their flavor, fragrance, and medicinal properties. Nutmeg was believed to have aphrodisiac qualities and was used to treat ailments ranging from digestive issues to the plague. Mace, with its slightly milder flavor, was prized for its culinary versatility and was also used in traditional medicine. Arab traders introduced nutmeg and mace to the Middle East and Europe, where they quickly became symbols of luxury and status. In medieval Europe, nutmeg was thought to ward off disease, and wealthy households carried nutmeg graters to season their food on the go. The high demand for these spices made them incredibly valuable, often worth more than gold. The quest for nutmeg and mace played a significant role in the Age of Exploration. In the early 16th century, the Portuguese reached the Banda Islands and established a monopoly on the nutmeg trade. However, Their dominance was challenged by the Dutch East India Company, which seized control of the islands in the early 17th century. The Dutch enforced their monopoly with brutal measures, including the massacre of the Bandanese people and the destruction of nutmeg trees on islands they did not control. The Dutch monopoly was eventually broken in the late 18th century when the British smuggled nutmeg trees to other regions, including Grenada, which became a major producer of the spice. Today, Indonesia, Grenada, and India are among the largest producers of nutmeg and mace. The warm, sweet flavor of nutmeg comes from compounds like myristicin and sap, which give the spice its distinctive aroma and taste. Mace, while similar in flavor, has a slightly spicier and more delicate profile. Both spices are rich in antioxidants and have been used in traditional medicine to improve digestion, relieve pain, and promote relaxation. In the kitchen, nutmeg and mace are versatile spices that enhance both sweet and savory dishes. Nutmeg is a key ingredient in baked goods, desserts, and beverages, such as pumpkin pie, eggnog, and custard. It also adds depth to savory dishes like creamy sauces, soups, and mashed potatoes. Mace, with its subtle flavor, is often used in spice blends, pickling, and light-colored dishes where nutmeg's darker specks might be undesirable. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the nutmeg groves of the Banda Islands, the bustling spice markets of medieval Europe, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought these precious spices. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the fruit, the mace drying in the sun, and the nutmeg seeds being cracked open to reveal their fragrant treasure. The story of nutmeg and mace is a story of beauty, ambition, and the timeless appeal of spices that continue to enrich our lives. Pepper, known as the king of spices. Pepper is one of the most widely used and universally loved spices in the world. Its sharp, pungent flavor has made it a staple in kitchens across cultures, while its historical significance has shaped the course of global trade and exploration. Tonight, let's dive into the story of pepper, a spice that has fueled empire, sparked wars, and remains a cornerstone of culinary tradition. Pepper comes from the dried berries of the Piper nigrum vine, a flowering plant native to the tropical forests of India, particularly the Malabar coast. These berries, commonly referred to as, are harvested at different stages of ripeness to produce black, white, and green pepper. Black pepper is made by picking unripe green berries, fermenting them briefly, and then drying them until they shrivel and darken. White pepper is produced by soaking ripe red berries to remove their outer skin, leaving the seed. Green pepper is made from unripe berries that are quickly preserved to retain their color. The history of pepper stretches back thousands of years. It was highly prized in ancient India, where it was known as black gold and used as currency. Pepper was a key ingredient in Ayurvedic medicine, valued for its ability to improve digestion, boost metabolism, and treat colds. From India, pepper spread to the Middle East and Europe through trade routes like the Silk Road. In ancient Rome, pepper was a luxury item reserved for the wealthy elite. It was used to flavor food, mask the taste of spoiled meat, and even as a form of tribute. When Rome was sacked by the Visigoths in 410 CE, part of the ransom demanded included 3,000 pounds of pepper, highlighting its immense value. During the Middle Ages, pepper became one of the most important commodities in the spice trade. Arab merchants controlled the flow of pepper to Europe, keeping its source in India a closely guarded secret. The high demand for pepper and other spices drove European powers to seek direct access to the spice-producing regions of Asia, ushering in the age of exploration. In the late 15th century, Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama reached India, establishing a direct sea route for the spice trade. This marked the beginning of European dominance over the pepper trade, with the Portuguese, Dutch, and British competing fiercely for control of the lucrative market. The Malabar coast remained the epicenter of pepper production, though cultivation eventually spread to other tropical regions, including Indonesia, Vietnam, and Brazil. Today, Vietnam is the largest producer of pepper, accounting for more than one-third of the global supply. Despite its widespread availability, pepper remains a symbol of culinary sophistication and a testament to its historical significance. The sharp, pungent flavor of pepper comes from piperine, a compound found in the outer layer of the peppercorn. In addition to its culinary uses, pepper has been used in traditional medicine to stimulate appetite, improve circulation, and enhance nutrient absorption. In the kitchen, pepper is a versatile spice that enhances nearly every type of dish. Black pepper is a staple seasoning for meats, vegetables, soups, and sauces, while white pepper is often used in light-colored dishes like cream sauces and mashed potatoes. Green pepper, with its milder flavor, is popular in pickling, sauces, and garnish. Pepper also pairs beautifully with other spices, forming the backbone of blends like garam masala, Cajun seasoning, and Chinese five-spice. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush pepper plantations of the Malabar coast, the bustling spice markets of ancient Rome, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the peppercorns, the berries drying under the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of pepper is a story of ambition, resilience, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to bring flavor to our tables. Vanilla, sweet, floral, and universally adored, vanilla is one of the most cherished flavors in the world. Its delicate aroma and versatility have made it a cornerstone of desserts, perfumes, and even beverages. Yet behind its luxurious reputation lies a fascinating story of discovery, cultivation, and resilience. Tonight, let us uncover the story of vanilla spice that has enchanted civilizations and continues to captivate our senses. Vanilla comes from the pods of the Vanilla planifolia orchid, a climbing plant native to Mexico and Central America. The pods, often referred to as vanilla beans, are harvested when they are green and immature, then undergo a lengthy curing process to develop their characteristic flavor and aroma. This process includes drying, sweating, and fermenting, which can take several months. The history of vanilla begins with the Totonac people of Mexico, who were the first to cultivate the vanilla orchid. They considered vanilla sacred and used it in rituals, as well as to flavor their food and beverages. The Aztecs later adopted vanilla, combining it with cacao to create a drink called zo, which was reserved for nobility and warriors. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in Mexico in the early 16th century, they brought vanilla to Europe, where it quickly gained popularity. Vanilla's cultivation remained exclusive to Mexico for centuries, as the vanilla orchid requires a specific type of bee, the melepina, for pollination. Attempts to grow vanilla in other regions failed until 1841, when a 12-year-old enslaved boy named Edmund Albee discovered a method of hand-pollinating vanilla flowers on the island of. This breakthrough allowed vanilla cultivation to spread to tropical regions around the world, including Madagascar, which is now the largest producer of vanilla. Despite its widespread cultivation, vanilla remains one of the most labor-intensive spices to produce. Each flower must be pollinated by hand, and the curing process is meticulous and tight. This makes vanilla one of the most expensive spices in the world, often referred to as black gold. The sweet, floral flavor of vanilla comes from vanillin, a compound that develops during the curing process. Vanilla also contains hundreds of other aromatic compounds, which contribute to its complex and nuanced profile. In addition to its culinary uses, vanilla has been used in traditional medicine to reduce stress, improve mood, and enhance digestion. In the kitchen, vanilla is a versatile ingredient that enhances both sweet and savory dishes. It is a key flavor in desserts like ice cream, cakes, cookies, and custards, as well as beverages like coffee, tea, and cocktails. Vanilla also pairs beautifully with spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove, adding depth and warmth to baked goods and spice blends. In savory cooking, vanilla can be used to complement seafood, poultry, and sauces. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the lush vanilla plantations of Madagascar, the bustling markets of ancient Mexico, and the hands of farmers carefully pollinating each delicate flower. Picture the vanilla pods curing under the tropical sun, their aroma filling the air, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of vanilla is a story of beauty, resilience, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to bring sweetness to our tables. Cinnamon, warm, sweet, and comforting. Cinnamon is one of the oldest and most beloved spices in the world. Its unmistakable flavor and aroma have made it a staple in kitchens and traditions across cultures, while its historical significance has shaped trade routes and inspired exploration. Tonight, let's uncover the story of cinnamon, a spice that has brought warmth to our lives for millennia. Cinnamon is made from the inner bark of trees in the cinnamon genus, which are native to Sri Lanka, India, and Southeast Asia. The two main types of cinnamon are Ceylon cinnamon, often referred to as true cinnamon, and cassia cinnamon. which is more common and has a stronger, spicier flavor. To produce cinnamon, the bark is carefully stripped from the tree, dried, and rolled into quills or ground into powder. The history of cinnamon stretches back thousands of years. It was highly prized in ancient Egypt, where it was used in embalming rituals, perfumes, and as a flavoring agent. Cinnamon is mentioned in the Bible as a luxury item, and it was a key ingredient in religious ceremonies and medicines in ancient Greece and Rome. In China, cinnamon has been used in traditional medicine for over 4,000 years to treat ailments like colds, digestive issues, and inflammation. During the Middle Ages, cinnamon became a symbol of wealth and status in Europe. It was used to flavor food, preserve meat, and mask unpleasant odors. Arab traders controlled the flow of cinnamon to Europe, keeping its source a closely guarded secret. The high demand for cinnamon and other spices drove European powers to seek direct access to the spice-producing regions of Asia. In the early 16th century, Portuguese explorers reached Sri Lanka and established a monopoly on the cinnamon trade. They were later challenged by the Dutch East India Company, which took control of Sri Lanka in the 17th century and dominated the cinnamon trade for over a century. The British eventually took control of the island in the 19th century, expanding cinnamon cultivation to other tropical regions. Today, Sri Lanka remains the largest producer of Ceylon cinnamon, while Casa cinnamon is widely grown in countries like Indonesia, China, and Vietnam. Despite its widespread availability, cinnamon continues to be a symbol of warmth and luxury. The warm, sweet flavor of cinnamon comes from cinnamaldehyde, a compound found in the bark that gives the spice its distinctive aroma and taste. Cinnamon is also rich in antioxidants and has been used in traditional medicine to improve digestion, regulate blood sugar, and reduce inflammation. In the kitchen, cinnamon is a versatile spice that enhances both sweet and savory dishes. It is a key ingredient in baked goods like cinnamon rolls, cookies, and pies, as well as beverages like chai tea, mulled wine, and hot chocolate. Cinnamon also adds depth to savory dishes like curries, stews, and roasted meats, and is often used in spice blends like garam masala, Chinese 5-spice, and ras el hanout. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the cinnamon groves of Sri Lanka, the bustling spice markets of ancient Egypt, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the bark, the cinnamon quills drying under the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of cinnamon is a story of warmth, ambition, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to bring comfort to our tables. Clove, aromatic, bold, and deeply flavorful. Clove is a spice that has been cherished for centuries for its culinary, medicinal, and cultural significance. Its intense aroma and warm, slightly sweet taste have made it a favorite in kitchens and traditional remedies around the world. Tonight, let us explore the story of clover spice that has traveled across continents and enriched the lives of those who sought its unique charm. Clove comes from the dried flower buds of the Syzygium aromaticum tree, an evergreen native to the Maluku Islands, also known as the Spice Islands, in Indonesia. The buds are harvested by hand before they bloom, then dried until they turn dark brown. Their distinctive shape, resembling tiny nails, is a hallmark of this beloved spice. The history of clove dates back over 2,000 years. In ancient China, clove was highly prized for its medicinal properties and was used to freshen breath and treat various ailments. Chinese courtiers were required to chew cloves before speaking to the emperor as a sign of respect. Clove also played a significant role in Indian and Middle Eastern medicine, where it was used to treat digestive issues, toothaches, and infections. Arab traders introduced clove to Europe in the early Middle Ages, where it quickly became a symbol of luxury and status. Along with other spices, clove was highly sought after and commanded exorbitant prices. Its value was so great that it played a central role in the spice trade, inspiring European powers to seek control of the Spice Islands. In the 16th century, Portuguese explorers reached the Maluku Islands and established a monopoly on the clove trade. They were soon challenged by the Dutch East India Company, which seized control of the islands in the 17th century. The Dutch enforced their monopoly with brutal tactics, including the destruction of clove trees on islands they did not control. This monopoly persisted until the late 18th century, when the French smuggled clove trees to other tropical regions, breaking the Dutch hold on the trade. Today, Indonesia remains the largest producer of clove, followed by Madagascar, Tanzania, and India. Despite its widespread availability, clove continues to be a symbol of warmth and tradition. The bold, aromatic flavor of clove comes from eugenol, a compound that gives the spice its distinctive taste and fragrance. Clove is also rich in antioxidants and has been used in traditional medicine to reduce inflammation, relieve pain, and improve digestion. Its antibacterial and antiviral properties have made it a popular remedy for colds and infections. In the kitchen, clove is a versatile spice that enhances both sweet and savory dishes. It is a key ingredient in spice blends like garam masala, Chinese five-spice, and pumpkin spice. Clove is often used to flavor baked goods, desserts, and beverages, such as gingerbread, fruitcakes, mulled wine, and chai tea. In savory cooking, clove adds depth to curries, stews, and roasted meats, and is often used to stud hams and onions for added flavor. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the clove trees of the Maluku Islands, the bustling spice markets of ancient China, and the daring voyages of explorers who sought this precious spice. Picture the hands of farmers carefully harvesting the flower buds, the cloves drying under the sun, and the enduring allure of a spice that has shaped history and enriched our lives. The story of clove is a story of boldness, resilience, and the timeless appeal of a spice that continues to bring warmth and flavor to our tables.